I think it'll be a tough game. I think Arsenal will always develop good young players, and I think they're now in a position where they're giving opportunities to young players. If you look at the likes of Saka, Willock, Nketiah, they went back from Leeds and all had opportunities in the first team. So, having worked in a 23s environment, that's the motivation that those players need, that there's an opportunity to maybe get into that first team. So I think they'll be raring to go. They'll obviously play the right way. I would imagine they play similar to the first team. So it'll be a really good game of football, and we need to make sure that we attack it the same way we did today.
Hello again, friends, and you are my friends. And the words of Matt Gill there, ahead of this evening's EFL Trophy game against Arsenal under-23s. So Paul Lambert's team selection is obviously out. I'm sure you've seen it on Twitter or whatnot. We have got it to pull apart as well. But as always, you're watching this on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and we would love you to get involved. We'd love you to get involved in the comments. Love you to get involved by coming on the show, and we'll be here pre-game, at halftime, and of course at full time for all your thoughts. So before we pull apart, we've got some comments already flying in. Nick Muller, hello, good evening, my friend. I hope you are well. Louis Sharp, welcome back. We really enjoyed your comments at the weekend. Nice to see consistency in the team. It certainly is. And the Cruncher, evening boys, talk to me about KJ. Rumoured 2 million bid from Bournemouth. Are the club strengthening? Whilst we could potentially lose our 2 best performances from last season. And we will do that. We will discuss all of that and a lot more. And joining me tonight, first and foremost, is our F1 correspondent, our F1 super fan. You can catch him on a Monday night at 8 p.m. He is, of course, Mr. Steve Thompson. Steve, how you doing?
Hello, I'm very well. Yourself?
I'm very well, thank you. Yes, I'm very excited for more football. It seems, like we've come out of the desert, we've found the fountain, and there is abundance of football all of a sudden.
That's it. We went for months without it, and then three buses all at once, isn't it? It's brilliant.
It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. Are you looking forward to tonight's game, or are you somebody who looks at the EFL Trophy with that? Is it really needed?
No, I love it. I mean, it's brilliant. I'm looking forward. I look forward to any game they play. Really, I suppose you could argue they need to focus on the league more, but I don't know. If we can get a cup run going, brilliant.
Absolutely, yeah. And as Louis has already alluded to, their consistency in the team lineup, which we'll get into a little bit later. But as a fan, is it good to see consistency?
Yeah, definitely. Because last year you didn't know what dice he was rolling, did you?
No,
you'd have a great lineup in one game, and you think, brilliant, this is a lineup that's going to stick. And then the next week it's completely different. 8-9 changes.
Yeah,
you need that consistency.
Your F1 co-host there, Mr. Neil Miles, getting involved. Good evening, Neil. Over on Facebook, we've got Craig. Good evening, Martin. We've got Benjamin. Loving the show, guys. Becoming part of the pre-game ritual. That's what we want. That's what we want, but we can't do it without you. And Mark Rowan, hello from Ireland. And of course, Andrew, our good friend Andrew. Good evening. So you can have your say on the team lineup. Before we do so, let's bring in a fan's perspective on recruitment is his slogan. You may have seen his work across any social media, but particularly obviously YouTube. He is, of course, the fan scout, the one, the only, Mr. Luke Penning. Luke, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good, Martin. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, we're good. Well. We're good. Talk to me about your latest video. You've got one out right here. What is your latest video?
Yeah, so Matt Phillips is going to be pretty happy about this, but I've put a video out today about Elvis Womono. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. I always struggle to do that. But yeah, Elvis Womono is an attacking right back, 21-year-old. Started off his youth career at QPR and then went to Southenders, made over 90 appearances for them. I thought it was an interesting video to do because we looked through our team and when KBY was injured, Dinasian's a capable centre right back and is very good defensively, but doesn't offer an attacking threat. It was good to see Chambers play there the other day, but if you're having KBY out injured for whatever reason, it's good to have someone as a backup who can offer very similar qualities to him. And as Elvis is relatively young, I think he's 21, and as Matt has said on the podcast plenty of times, they're not going to really command a high fee for him. So I thought it'd just be interesting to just let a couple of fans or people know about him, and if that potentially comes up, who knows? But yeah, with recent links coming out with players moving away, I don't think their interest is elsewhere on options maybe.
So you can go and check that out, guys. Obviously, after this evening's coverage and game. If we look at the lineup, you mentioned a right back there, but Luke Chambers keeps his place on the right side of the fence. Miles Kenlock's coming into the side. But other than that, Cornell is in goal. So there's 2 changes to the lineup from Saturday. Are we happy with that, guys? You mentioned the attacking fullback there, or you hear Luke mention the attacking fullback there, Steve. Would you be happy to see Chambers play at right back and someone such as Cambridge Young come in at left back, a position he's played at Colchester many times?
Yeah, I reckon so. Chambers did quite well at right back last time out. I think better than myself and a lot of other people expected, maybe. So, yeah, I reckon so. And I think we were saying the other day about maybe Vincent Young either as a wing back or as a left back. I think it would be a good move.
Yeah, and other than that, looking at that side, are you excited again to see the midfield 3 playing together? Because it's all important. I mean, I'm not the biggest John Nolan fan. I think that's well documented by now. But it's good to see a little bit of consistency. I'm seeing the guys on Facebook particularly saying, like Lee Brown, Nasir settled side. Andrew, winning and keeping settled sides builds confidence. Is it important those 3, particularly if Flynn Downs does leave, which is looking like he does, Luke, is it important those 3 players start to build an understanding and build up a really good performance on Saturday?
Definitely.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, with consistency and as with team formation, you need players that know what each other are doing. I think with the Dozzell and Bishop, that's something that comes naturally to them, because whenever I've seen them play, they seem to have that understanding anyway. But with Nolan in there, and that seems like that's the midfield 3 that Lambert's going to be going with, having them play consistent games is a good thing. I would like to have seen maybe Lancaster come in instead of Judge, just because I think it'd be good to see him get some minutes, but hopefully maybe that's on the bench as well. But it's good to see Norwood on the bench as well. Hopefully he might come on and get some minutes, along with, I think Edwards had a groin strain at West Ham. So other than that, I think, yeah, it's good. You got the 2 changes. I think they were going to give Cornell minutes anyway. It's good to be interesting to see how he does in his first competitive game for us. And obviously Kenlock as well has been out of the team for a while. It'll be interesting to see how that one goes. But other than that, I'm relatively pleased with the team. It's a nice difference from having the team switched every week.
Yeah, and Luke, so Lancaster there, Steve, would you have liked to have seen Lancaster and Edwards maybe coming in, just freshening it up those outside areas, or do you feel the consistency and giving Aaron Drinan, who had a fantastic game on Saturday, giving him that consistency and giving him that good platform to build off as vital?
Yeah, I agree with Luke, really. I'm happy with the team overall. That bit of consistency is nice. Dozzell and Bishop have been working very, very well. Judge, I'd maybe swap him for Lancaster, because it'd be nice to see Lancaster get some more minutes under his belt, and he seems to offer a little bit more. I don't know if that's Judge's strongest position. Drinan, really happy with, and Sears, to be honest, really happy with as well, because the 2 of them linked up quite nicely against can't remember who played now. Bristol Rovers.
Yeah, no, they did. I would have liked to have seen Ndaba come in. I'd like to have seen Corey Ndaba come in, Luke. I know Corey Ndaba was a player you've raved about for the summer, as well as Aaron Drinan, which we'll get into in a second. But Corey Ndaba particularly, do you feel Ntiala is in the shop window, or do you feel Ntiala is playing for a place legitimately?
I think he's playing for a place.
Yeah, I did hear like a couple of months back that when Dundee apparently inquired for Norwood, one of the names that they other required was Ntiala, and I think at that time there was a pushing for a move to go somewhere else. But I think he played relatively well the other day. Him and Wolfenden looked solid, and obviously Ndaba came on because Chambers had like slight hamstring strain at the end. But yeah, I think Ndaba's a player, like you guys have said on the podcast a lot of times, that he's a player that they should slowly start integrating throughout this season. I thought when he come on the other day, he looked very assured on the ball. I saw him play under 23s football probably about a year ago, or 2 years ago, I'd say, when he was being rumoured to make his first team debut at the end of our relegation season. And he played a game against Birmingham under 23s, and he had a shocker. But since then, I've seen him playing at under 23s, and obviously played against Bristol Rovers last Saturday, and he looked very assured on the ball. So hopefully that'll be something that they go with moving forward, and maybe he'll get some games today.
Guys, I've just had notification that there's no sign of Toto and Ntiala in the warm-up as they go through their shape work. Looks like Wilson is out there, so a possible late change, maybe, reports Andy Warren on Twitter. If that's the case, and it may have been an oversight in terms of Ndaba on the bench and not Wilson, it may be my fault. You only get a quick turnaround when the team's released.
Yeah.
If it is Wilson with Wolfenden, or are we going to see Chambers now slot inside? So talk me through this possible lineup change, guys, because if we're seeing Wilson come in because of an injury to Nsiala, I don't know, not proven yet, just off Twitter. Yeah. Would you slide Chambers inside and play with Wolfenden, Steve? Would you bring Wilson inside with Wolfenden? What would you do? They're your three components. What do you do?
I think I would stick with Chambers at right back and bring Ward in alongside Wolfenden. I think him and Wolfenden could get on quite well, and Chambers, had a great game at right back the other day, and he played a lot of games at right back, obviously earlier in his Town career. So,
I've just got an update. Watson. Sorry. It says that Ndaba is the player involved in the 11-man shape work in place of Nsiala. So it seems like they're going to start Ndaba alongside Wolfenden. Wolfenden looks like he'll come onto the bench. That's what Stuart Watson just put out right now. So yeah, got Wolfenden and Ndaba starting centre back. So.
Are you happier with that, Luke, or would you have preferred to have seen the senior pro Wilson coming in and at that short notice?
I would have normally, but with Arsenal under 21s, it's a chance for players to stake a claim. A lot. I think last season we had people like Tyree Simpson and Tommy Hughes, I think, make their debuts against Tottenham under 21s last year. I think it was either that or Gillingham. But I think it's a good one, especially now. Anyway, it shows that Lambert has faith in. He could have easily stuck Wilson in. I think it's a good one. And then Ndaba played alongside, or didn't really play alongside Wolfenden because Wolfenden ended up going to right back. But I think he obviously shows faith in Ndaba now, along with Drinan. So hopefully it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. But from what I've seen, I've got no reason to be concerned. So.
Yeah, looking at our goalkeeper, last time we saw Cornell, he perhaps didn't get off to the greatest Ipswich Town careers. What do you want to see from the goalkeeper tonight, Steve? Obviously, I think it goes without saying, first 5, 10, 15 minutes, keep it nice and straightforward. But overall, what do you want to see from him that maybe you don't see out of Holy on a regular basis, or maybe just in general?
In general, I mean, obviously the game he had against Spurs was shocking, especially those errors. So just keep a cool head. Take your time a bit more if you can. Less silly errors like that. So I think he's a good young keeper. Well, I say young. He's a good keeper. I think I would still prefer Holy, or I was actually quite looking forward to seeing maybe Harry Wright sort of take the reserve or the backup keeper this year. But yeah, I think he could have a good game, and this would be sort of better for him now as well because he was sort of chucked in a bit at the deep end against Spurs. I think this is to be a better sort of game for him. He can get his head down and crack on and go from here.
Yeah, Luke, what about you? What do you want to see out of the goalkeeper? Obviously, you're a guy that sees a lot of times scouting players. What do you particularly want to see from this goalkeeper today?
I just want to appear confident, really. Obviously, we spent most of the season playing out of the back, and from what I noticed from the Bristol Rovers game, we weren't actually playing short that many times. Obviously, for the second goal, we Holy rolled the ball out, or the third goal, sorry, Holy rolled the ball out, and then obviously that's when we scored. I think it was Sears. But yeah, I think he's confident with his feet, Cornell. I just think. I think they'll kind of stick to how they were playing against Bristol Rovers, and I think it'll be interesting to see how he does really, because I think as Lambert and Gill and Stuart Taylor said, they weren't really judging things off pre-season in terms of results, but obviously the last time we saw Cornell was a couple of horrendous mistakes against Spurs, so hopefully he can use that as an incentive to drive them forward for this game. But yeah, it should be interesting to see how he does.
And it's just confirmed that Corey Ndaba has taken Toto's place in the starting 11. So it is a great opportunity for the youngster. Another player coming in who some would view as a youngster and some that necessarily may not now view as a youngster is obviously Miles Kenlock at left back. He's a player that splits opinion, is Miles, but still only 23, made 17 appearances last season, 9 in the league. 69% of tackles were won and 58% completion rate on the passes. Steve, obviously you've got KVY can play left back, as we've said. You've got Stephen Ward as left back. What does Miles have to do tonight, or starting tonight, to really force his way back into the thinking? Because he's fallen a long way off the pace, it would seem.
Yeah, he started off, I think he started for us last season, and then he just sort of dropped off the radar a bit. I remember I was at the Wimbledon game when he was playing left back, and it wasn't his greatest game. It was awful, to be honest. And you've now got like the likes of KVY, who can do left back very well. Ward, obviously very experienced, very mature, knows his stuff. He's just got to cut out the mistakes. I mean, yeah, he's only 23, but like you say, can you really still class him as a young player? Because he's been with Ipswich for a few years now. And he should really be getting more first team games than he is getting.
Yeah.
And it's
Luke,
not going to be easy.
What does he have to do for you, Luke? Because do you feel he has to go out on loan? Do you feel that he's best served going out on loan, or do you feel he still can revive his time here? What's your feeling on it, Luke? Sorry, Steve.
It's a strange one, really, because as you were saying, he's not relatively old, he's not relatively young. He's actually the same age as me, and his birthday's like 4 days before mine. So, yeah, it's a strange one, really. I think he wasn't helped at times. I think when he played against at Peterborough, he wasn't helped by the fact he had Judge in front of him, and I think he's got Judge in front of him again today. I think I noticed it better more for Judge the last game against Bristol Rovers. He seemed to have a little bit more positional discipline, but when he played at Peterborough, Ken Locke, he had Judge in front of him, and he had no real person to help him in terms of players marking on his side. From what I've noticed a lot from Ken Locke, he tends to get he struggles with strength sometimes, and he always, in terms of the defensive sense, he always struggles when a man's running at him. In terms of, like, I think we played the game that we got relegated against Birmingham, he got done on his side, and it seems to be something that happens quite a lot for him. I actually liked him playing at centre back when we played the Leeson Trophy games last season, but obviously, as you were saying, I think it is a very big or make or break season for Miles. It seems to get to that age where he has to kind of think, well, do I want to be a backup for the rest of my career?
Yeah.
Or am I going to move on and do something? We've sent out Bailey Clements, who's a 19-year-old left back, and plays centre back as well. He's going out and learn to Dagenham Redbridge along with Kai Brown. So maybe they're thinking maybe integrating him next season. So I think Miles needs to put in a good performance today, because if Ward ends up getting an injury, the closest person to them in that position, if it depends if Lambert doesn't see KVY as a left back but as a right back, then the only person that can really drop in is Ken Locke. So he really does need to play well today, and hopefully stick at it. Yeah,
speaking of sort of a backup so far in their career, let's hear from Aaron Drinan ahead of tonight's game.
Yeah, no, I thought I'd done well, to be fair. Just thought I did what the gaffer asked me to do, obviously run channels, make it stick when I have it, and obviously it's always good to be involved in the goals, obviously with the assist, and probably was unlucky not to score one as well. The aim is just to keep that shirt, obviously try stay as consistent as I can, obviously try score a few goals along the way, and obviously hopefully the team keeps winning, and hopefully then just obviously keep the jersey as long as I can.
Aaron Drinan speaking there ahead of tonight's game, following a very impressive debut after 2 years. It seems a long time for a player, but he's finally made that debut. And Steve, he keeps his place in the lineup. And what's he got to do again tonight? He's got to have consistency about him tonight, hasn't he, to make himself a certainty for Sunday? Or do you feel if Norwood can come off the bench and get half an hour, then Norwood gets your nod on Sunday?
I think on Sunday, I think Norwood would still get the nod if he's fit enough. I think Drinan on the bench would be great. We don't really know what's happening with Jackson right now. Drinan and Sears seem to work quite well together in the last game. It'd be nice to see them more of the same with that today. I think Drinan does deserve to keep the shirt, that's for sure, because he's all through pre-season and the last game against Bristol Rovers, he played very, very well. And I can't believe it's taken him 2 years to make his debut.
Yes,
but he's taking it with both hands.
It's a long time, isn't it, Luke?
Yeah, he's a player that I've been following for a while.
Raving about him, Luke. Let's not pretend it. You've been raving about him.
I was at the. I think we played Sheffield United in the FA Cup about 3 years ago or 2 years ago. He was on the bench. I think it was a week before we signed him. I kind of expected him to come on as a late minute sub. I think we lost that game 1-0. And seen him play under 23s and that sort of thing. And I think he's a kind of player that does well with link up play. He's very well done in loan spells. He had time on loan at Dice, where Harry Wright's now gone on loan to. He had a loan spell at Waterford, and most recently Ayr United, where I think he did quite well in terms of learning the physicality of the league. And a lot of the way he's playing right now in terms of his link-up play with Steers worked really, really well. And I think it shows in a lot of professions that if you be patient enough, work hard, put the work in, you're going to get an opportunity. And I think he got an opportunity this pre-season. He scored 2 good goals against Colchester and had a very good performance against Bristol Rovers, and probably was unlucky not to score in that game. But I think he finished that game pretty well, and maybe questioned a lot of fans who maybe didn't think that he was going to have a chance playing here and seemed to think that he might be going on. But I think he's given a lot of fans, and I guess Paul Lambert, a couple of questions. He seemed to be raving the other day after his post-match interview about Drinan, saying he's raw, he's kind of one for the future. And Drinan interview was kind of saying, I did everything that Lambert told me to do. And I think, in his loan spells, he probably hasn't scored as many goals as he would have liked, but I think it's something that comes with working, really. He's got an eye for goal. He's very good with his link-up play, and hopefully it's something that he can take into tonight's game.
You see, that's the key thing for me there, Luke. He's a striker, first and foremost. You've got to put it in the back of the net. 2 goals on loan last year in 11 appearances for Ayr, playing in, no disrespect to Ayr, not the greatest division in the world. Yes, it was a good game on Saturday. He ran the channels, did everything he had to do. As Neil says here, run the channels, help link up play. Yeah, that's it. But if you look at our squad and go back to tonight's game, for example, you've got Sears one side, Judge the other. Now, Sears can get goals, we know that. But Alan Judge last year, 3 goals himself. The midfield, did they even score a goal? Those 3 in midfield? I don't know if they did. Dozzell, Nolan and Bishop. If they did, it wasn't many. So you have to have goals coming from somewhere in this team. And I just don't see currently, and I hope to be eating a lot of humble pie, a lot of crow, that I don't think Aaron Drinan is going to bring that to the table. And I think if this was a player that we'd brought in, and I'm not even going to say age-wise, just the player we brought in, I don't think many fans would be happy sitting here this close to Sunday saying, if we start the season with Aaron Drinan up front, it's okay, it's no problem. I think they'd be saying, where's the investment? Where's the third striker coming in? Now, I'm not having a dig at Aaron Drinan. I think he's a young player, he's a good player, but we're putting the weight of the world on his shoulders if he starts on Sunday.
Yeah.
I think
it's not to start him, maybe.
I think it's Paul Lambert's words in a way that he was saying that, if you play well, you get the shirt. So in his eyes, he's saying that, Drinan started at Bristol Rovers, he's starting again tonight. If he plays well tonight, that seems to indicate that, that he'll be playing again on Sunday. I do agree. That is something that he needs to add to his games, probably more goals. That if you look throughout the team, that is probably something that we're lacking. I think Nolan scored last season against Tranmere when we won. You've got goals. I think Chambers scored against Peterborough last season. Wolverhampton scored against Lincoln. Dozzell, Lincoln in the FA Cup. Bishop, I don't think he scored at all.
Down's got one too, didn't he?
Yeah. Steve, can I just ask you, Steve? Sorry, Luke. Can I just ask Steve? We're just pushing on for the time. Steve, Cruncher's point here, selling Caden Jackson. Obviously, we've had news this morning today of a 1 million bid, first of all, then a 2 million bid, second of all. Caden Jackson. Where do you stand on this? Is this a waghorn in the making in terms of dragging it out? Would you sell him? There's been reports that his camp are reportedly wanting it to happen, which is like saying water is wet, because of course his camp wants it to happen. That Bournemouth are a bigger club than us. We have to admit that. Would you sell Caden Jackson, or would you say, unless it's a huge bid?
Yeah, to be honest, I know Evans has said about sitting his ground. I wouldn't sell him unless it's for something ridiculous, because we are going to need him. We can't expect Drinan to provide all the goals. I think Jackson was our top scorer last year along with Norwood. Him and Norwood do link up well, and they do work well together when they're both fit and firing. Jackson's pace is really, really good. He does have a tendency to get caught offside, I've noticed. But I think keeping him at the club would be much better, to be honest, than selling him. Because I know we've got Hawkins, we've got Norwood, obviously Drinan, but you can't expect goals to just come from nowhere with Drinan. So keep him, I'll say.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Cruncher. They are a bigger club. They've just come out of the Premier League, for crying out loud. You can look at the size of their stadium and say not bigger than us. Look at their history and say not bigger than us. But in the present day term of footballing world, if you had 100 players and you gave them the opportunity to go to 2 clubs, Ipswich or Bournemouth, probably everyone but Ryan Fraser would choose to go to Bournemouth. I wouldn't sell Caden Jackson. However, Luke, you're a recruitment man. If you are selling Caden Jackson, do you need to do what Peterborough have done and already identify a target so you know Tony's going, so they go and get somebody in replacement before he's even left the building?
Yeah, I kind of think we missed the boat on this one with Caden Jackson, in the sense that we were linked with Johnson Clark-Harris, who's ultimately is coming as Ivan Tony's replacement at Peterborough. And Johnson Clark-Harris and Caden Jackson are very similar players. Caden Jackson, I think, actually got, I might be wrong because I have the figure down somewhere, but not the eye at the moment, but I think it was something like 18 or 20 something offsides last season compared to Johnson Clark-Harris's 7, I think. So
yeah.
They were very similar players, called similar goals. But for me, whenever I've seen Jackson play, whenever he's played in a 4-3-3, which seems to be what we're going with, he has really struggled to deal with the physical burden put on him by just playing as a lone striker. Maybe he might have been struggled in the sense that he didn't have necessarily support and he become isolated. But for me, whenever I've seen play as the lone front man up top, he struggled. Last season, when he had Norwood up alongside him and other partners, he seemed to do well in the sense that the partner alongside him took away the physical side of the game, so he could excel in, getting that space that he wouldn't necessarily have playing up front by himself. I've seen a couple of people say about playing him as a wide forward, but I don't really know if that's where he sees himself. Obviously, last season, his contract is still up
nearly quarter 2, so I've got to pull you up. I've got to have predictions very quickly. Luke, you go first. You've got 10 seconds or so. Predictions for the first half. What do you want to see?
I just want to see the team playing well, kind of taking off from what we did last time and hopefully get a couple of goals to go into half-time comfortable.
Steve?
Yeah, consistency, pick up from where we left off against Bristol Rovers. I'll be happy with the goal into the second half.
Perfect. Right. Well, we'll see you all back here at half-time. Enjoy the game and catch us back here at half-time and again at full-time. We'll see you later, guys. Enjoy the game. Kickoff is imminent.